Hey everyone, welcome to Bad Publicity. You're checking us out on our new home on cardgamedb.com. I'm Jameson.
Slide Squid. Corpse Morn.
What we're going to do for you today is we're going to do a breakdown of a user-submitted deck, and we're going to take this deck to tournament-ready status. This is in prep for the regionals that are coming up. We found a deck that was called Biotic Labor Try. This is submitted by... I need a pronunciation.
I believe it's Rheidan, but it's R-H-E-I-D-A-N, all one word.
Is it one word or two words?
It's one word. Rheidan.
What we did here is we looked over, and it looks like you're using a core set, What Lies Ahead, and Cyber Exodus. For the deck, we're going to prepare for you to get tournament ready. You're probably going to need to pick up, or you're definitely going to need to pick up a second core set. And you're going to have to get the new pack, A Study in Static. So, looking at the user-submitted deck, you can see that it is an HB Fast Advance. We came to that conclusion because you put in, Biotic Labor and Archive Memories. So, we're assuming that you're trying to do a Fast Advance
and
deck.
Sand's in there.
Yeah, Sand.
So, what, after we watched the deck scroll past here...
and just pause it if you wanna read it.
Yep.
Why don't you break down the money for us? Usually when we build decks, money is the first thing we should be thinking of, right?
Generally, yeah. It doesn't matter what kind of deck you're putting together. It's always good to make sure that your economy is running nice and smooth. Because as any corporation deck, especially when it's coming together, if your money isn't there, nothing is there. Like, you're not going to be able to do anything, basically, if you don't have a bank. Runners run for free. Corp can't do anything for free.
Economy is the most important thing in
the corporation
deck.
So what you're saying is this deck didn't have enough money, or like how did that look?
It looked okay. It could look better, and I'll go over that now. So this deck started with 2 pad campaigns, 3 Adonis campaigns, 2 Melange Mining Corps, and 3 hedge funds. That there's nothing that I want to take away from that. The cards chosen are excellent economy cards. The only thing that I did to tweak this economy, which is going to kind of mess with the numbers in the deck for total cards a little bit later on, but we'll go through that. I had to add 1 more pad campaign and 1 more Melange Mining Corp. And what that's going to do is just really round out that economy so that it's almost fly by night. Like, you don't really even have to worry about money. You're always going to have something coming to you that's going to keep your bankroll full.
It's the HB failsafe, right? Like, why wouldn't you have it? You have the Adonis campaigns. I think, like, if
yeah, you didn't have to splash for Adonis campaigns. Everybody else splashes for that card.
had an equivalent, we would run it too. It's such a good card.
It's too good. It's too good of a card.
And we also kept the Engineering the Future as the identity, right?
Yeah,
So
the identity chosen by the original user is definitely kept in there because
great card.
Yeah, she's a sweet one. So that takes care of the economy. So as this deck is fast advanced, the next thing you're going to be advancing is your agenda. So I'm going to turn it over to Sly here to take care of the agendas. What we did there.
So on agendas, that's always obviously the second thing you need to do. You need to figure out how many points you're going to be spending. So I'm going to quickly run through them right now. We had 3 accelerated beta tests, 3 priority requisitions, 3 mandatory upgrades. That was it. We thought that was a little low for fast advancing, especially with the priority requisitions. We thought those were way too high. Like, we ended up switching a lot of the ice out. We can understand kind of why he had that in there. That's more going off of the whole original base set play of having that really big ice that you can't pay for, and
so you use priority requisition to pay for it.
We're done with that though. We don't want to use that. We're making a fast advancing deck here, so we ended up taking all of those out. We put in 3 Project Vitruvius, and we put in 3 False Leads. So that's going to round us up to 21 agenda points. We were kind of mulling over whether or not we were going to put 2 or 3 false leads in, and we ended up we pulled it right up to 49 cards, and we put the 3 false leads in. We think they're just going to help. They're just good cards. Can't really argue about it.
Yeah. In a fast advanced deck, you need to advance things quickly, and having those sweet 1-point agendas that go down for real quick.
Now the real flaw that we saw with this deck was the ice. A lot of expensive ice, and just a lot of ice in general.
He had like 21.
It was 20 or 21 to start with. Yeah, yeah, and some 1-ups too. Which.
So how did we handle this?
So with the ice, he had 2 Heimdalls, 3 Itchies, 1 Roto Turret, which I don't understand, 3 Victor, 2 Vipers, 2 Archers, 2 Toll Booths, 2 Wall of Statics, 2 Chimeras, 2 Janus, and that's basically it. So we stripped this right down. We ended up taking out the Roto Turret completely. We took out the Archers for reasons that aren't completely the reasons why we've been tearing down Archer, but
right. Well, it's a fast advance deck, right? Like, why do you want to give up the agendas that you've scored in a fast advance?
Playing the devil's advocate, if you are fast advancing, then you're going to be able to get the Archer out sooner. So I can understand it, but I think that if you're going for fast advancing, you're just going to want to win.
Yeah, you're not winning as quick if you're trashing your agendas. Also, too, because the priority requisition came out, there's almost no way to dump Archer on the field.
Well, there is with the accelerated beta test, but
maybe
still,
though.
That's a gamble.
It's random.
I've seen a lot of people now that are just not even using accelerated beta test ability because they're too afraid to put things in the graveyard.
Yeah, the Archer. You can see our opinions on it in a separate video that we have made. Definitely go check that out, and you'll understand some of the reasons why we pull this card out of the deck.
So we also took out the Toll Boosts. We took out the Wall of Statics. We took out the Chimeras because I think they're too expensive to run, personally.
They can be exploited, right?
Yeah. I feel like that's an ice that works good in combo form. Like, you need a couple cards to go with it.
Yeah,
like,
definitely agree.
Like, Corpse, you definitely run Chum. When you...
Chum and Chimera, especially when thrown down early game, makes them think that you're really trying to protect something, but basically all you're going to make them do is either throw their hand away or lose the game.
Right.
Great.
And we've seen some dedicated server...
Viper actually runs dedicated server with Chum, and he loves it. Loves it. Actually, in his Haas-Bioroid deck, no less. And then we took out the Janus too, just too expensive. We ended up tailoring it, or we scaled it back to a little bit of cheaper ice and a little more manageable. And we took out a lot of the 1s and 2s. We just shored them all up to 3. So everything I'm going to mention is all up to 3s now. So we pulled the Heimdall up to 3. Itchy stayed the same. Victor stayed the same. Vipers are at 3 now. And we threw in 3 ice walls because there's nothing better than an ice wall to start.
Yeah, especially if you can splash for it, it's awesome for one.
And then we were kind of on the fence about what else to put in, and we just figured that Hourglass would be that little bit of fun, kind of, hey, flip this over, you just lost your turn.
Yeah, your whole turn.
Great deal. And it really plays well in with cards like Heimdall and Victors and Itchies. So
yeah.
So you mentioned that Ice Wall, you know, you really want to get it out there early in the game because it's good early protection for the price. Is there any other ones that you'd identify as early game ice here rather than throw something out later game? Like,
in here, there's not too many early game ice. Viper's really good early game. I think a lot of people really like their Vipers. And yeah, Itchy and Victor, between trashing programs and doing brain damage, that's a really good way to go.
Yeah. It stops the runner from running until they've got a half-decent rig kind of put up, right?
Basically, the only thing...
It's an all or none.
Ice Wall is something you can bounce off of. Everything else in here is going to punish the runner for not having their breakers.
Yeah.
So that takes care of the money and the agendas and the ice. The last thing, what we're going to do is just fill the gaps with some cards to tie this whole little thing together here.
Yeah. So
put the bow on the package.
Yeah, put the bow on. So that's the operation / other pile kind of thing. We don't usually group cards based on what type they are, like events, operations, because sometimes you'll have a money card or something that runs or helps your economy, but it could be an ice, right? In the like pop-up window, right? That's a money card. It's not really an ice, right? So we kind of put them into those big bulk group categories. So this is the operation / other. So the deck started off with having 3 Biotic Labor, 2 Archive Memories, a Sand, 2 Red Herrings, and 1 Ash with a whole bunch of digits at the end there that I can't remember. We didn't have to do too much tweaking here. This, along with some of the ice that we pulled, this is where the rest of the pulls were made, just to allow the deck to run hyper efficiently, much more efficiently than they would, say, if these were stuck in, and they're just simply not needed.
All of these decisions aren't they're not really a knockoff on Rheidan at all. It's just this is what we always consider stuff to cut. This is where you trim the fat. So like all of this we would have liked to keep in.
Yeah. But essentially, this is it gets to be the hardest thing to cut because you really want to keep it all. And also to just throwing it out there, also this deck as it started looks no different from what our decks would look like when they started too. Before you start doing the cuts in this process that we're going through now. But anyway, so diving in. So again, I already listed what we had. So the changes that were made here. We kept the Biotic Labors the same. We kept the 2 archive memories. We would have liked to have had that third one in there, but just restrictions. With Sand Sands, we added another one. So now there's 2 Sand Sands, and we had to remove the 2 red herrings and the ash.
So that's where the second core comes into play, is the Sand Sand. We know it seems kind of, over the top, buying another core set just for that one card. Borrow it off a friend, find someone who's not playing NBN. Throw it in just for the tournament, give it back to them.
Yeah, a thing we like to say to a lot of people is, I mean, this is a 2-player game anyway. You can't play it by yourself. Find your buddy who has a core set, go in halves on another one.
Yeah.
Me and my brother Vol, that's exactly what we do. I picked Genteki and Criminal. He picked Haas-Bioroid and Anarchs. So basically, we just split up everything we want. Anything extra that we kind of both want, we just buy another data pack or whatever we need.
Plus, a card like this, I mean, even if you're playing with somebody who is an NBN player, it's not guaranteed that they're even going to have Sand Sand in their deck, right? So you could really just either buy this off somebody or borrow it. Borrowing it's better, because then, your decks are never static. Your decks are always going to be evolving, and it might not be in there forever, so you just keep track of what you've lent out or what you did take on loan from somebody and give it back in the future.
So is there anything else that you got in there?
Nope, that brought it... That shorted up. That shorted up to 49 cards.
So just in general, some other thoughts too. We saw a lot of peppering through the deck of one-offs. Normally, that's not something that we really do.
I am 100% against it. I hate having a one-off. If I'm to have a one-off, it'll be in a corp, but as like a runner, I can't even wrap my head around it.
It's too hard to hope and pray that card is going to come through. You don't want to get into a situation where in your mind you're set on a combination, you're waiting for that one card, because it's going to clog your hand up and it's going to force you to make mistakes.
The best way to look at it, the most logical way to look at it, is that if you've got a card that you only want to see once a game, put 2 of it in your deck, because then you'll at least see... Probably chances are you'll see it at least once that game. If you're not putting 2 in, if you're just putting 1 in, at least have a way to search for it. At least have another card in there that can find it for you. So you essentially are running with 2 copies of it.
Right. Yeah. Some other cards that we did touch on in videos. We have done a Red Herrings video, so you can definitely go check that out and go see our love for mandatory upgrades. Understand why we're running 3 of those with an HB deck. Corpse and Squid, do you guys have any final thoughts on HB deck building as a whole?
I think deck building, this is kind of a new thing that we're doing specifically for Card Game DB. I think the easiest way when you're deck building is to take the simple concept that you like. So what we did was we boiled this down instantly into a fast advancing deck. And then what you're going to want to do is take everything that helps you run fast advancing, faction or not, take it all, put it on the table, and start cutting cards. That's what we did with this deck, and it's the easiest way and the best way to do it. And when it comes to playing a deck, the only advice that I have is play it more than once. In wargaming, we always said 10 times. But you'll end up playing more. If you don't get a lot of games, play it at least 5 times. There's going to be cards that you don't see. There's going to be combos that you don't see. Like, right now, you were using archived memories to pull back from what we think, the Biotic Labors. But you can easily do that with the Project Vitruvius now. If you put the extra tokens on, you're actually saving for being able to pull back more Biotic Labors, which is ridiculous.
Yeah. You also might find too, especially when you're deck building, is that again why you play it about 5 times before you make any changes is because you got to make sure that you know, say you're playing just one game and you have this one card that you sat on the whole game, you didn't have any need to play it, and you're thinking about cutting it. Well, if you cut it and then the next player you play against, you wish you had that card, it really messes with you, right? So you play the 5 games and you gauge it after that. You say, well, 4 out of those 5 games, this was a dead card to me. Take it out.
And we're not saying 5 games against the same player. We're saying
no, try and mix it up. Try and mix it up.
Yeah.
I find this is a very interesting game where you have to deck build with your head and not your heart. You know, you have to put in...
That's a real
You can't build out of love.
No. Don't fall in love with a card and try and force it into a deck.
Yeah.
Oh, worst.
Right? Put in and build a deck for what you need, not for what you want.
Like I said, build around an idea, not a card.
Definitely a great place to dig into deck building is the Card Game DB forums. Don't be shy. Post on there. Hit us up. We are Bad Publicity on that site. You can, email us, private message your decks if you'd like to see them featured in other videos. But don't be shy. Get involved. It's a great site.
We want to start a community. That's why we're here. None of us on this site are doing this.
Never be
for
afraid
our own good.
to post your ideas for decks and stuff like that. I mean, if you're afraid someone's going to tear them apart or do something or call you stupid, those are not nice people, and they shouldn't be listened to anyway, right? So just don't pay attention to them. Just do it. Just get out there, get your ideas out there. You might be sitting on gold up there. You don't know, right? So make it happen.
Definitely. Thanks, guys.
Take care.